of Texas goes back before the Supreme Court today to defend its affirmative action program. Student Abigail Fisher sued UT 7 years ago. She claimed the university denied her admission because she is white. UT says race is just one factor among many it uses to fill out each year's class. Justices first heard the case in 2013. They sent it back to a federal appeals court for closer scrutiny. That court upheld UT's policy, and here we are again with this issue back before the Supreme Court. And with us this morning is Dallas Appellate Lawyer Chad Ruback to give us a little more perspective on what's going on. Thanks for coming in, first of all, Chad.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about why this case is back before the Supreme Court. They heard it 2 years ago, sent it back down to a lower court for closer scrutiny. What does that mean?
Basically, the Supreme Court didn't like the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals decision. The Supreme Court indicated that the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, that's the court in New Orleans, used the wrong standard to review UT's affirmative action program.
Okay, a lot of legal stuff going on.
Yes.
There. But tell us plainly, what is at stake in this case?
What is at stake is, in theory, whether affirmative action can continue to be used at universities such as UT. I highly doubt the Supreme Court is going to rule that affirmative action can never be used again, but in theory it's possible. So there's a lot at stake here. Yeah,
I was reading some information where there are some observers who anticipate that the conservative justice will strike down racial preferences. But what are their options really here?
Well, the Supreme Court could in fact say no more affirmative action anywhere ever again. More likely, the Supreme Court will remand the case, will send the case back to either the Court of Appeals in New Orleans once again, or back to the trial court, or conceivably they could just make a final decision and end things by determining what UT's affirmative action program can and cannot do. They might just put an end to it.
Right, and so that final decision we'll hear from the court next June. But what are some things, Chad, you will be listening for today when these oral arguments are heard?
Well, I imagine most of your viewers are just waking up and needing to go to work. They don't want me to put them to sleep.
Okay.
And most of the arguments today are going to be tedious arguments that only an appellate lawyer or maybe a constitutional law professor could appreciate.
Okay, well, we're glad you're here to help us appreciate that and give us some perspective on it. And it's important to note, too, that the student at the center of the case 7 years ago, Abigail Fisher, she since graduated from college. She chose to attend SMU in Dallas.
Wow.
Okay, so we'll be looking for your perspective later on.
Thanks so much.
Chad.
All right, thank you both. Well, right now, the